I am 4 days into ending my showers with a cold blast for a minute.
Wonderful. How does that feel?
It's good. Especially this morning was fun because I had this little moment where I was like, I don't want to do it. Good. That's what they want you to believe. So I was like, excellent opportunity to exercise, doing the thing that you don't want to do at very low stakes to get into the habit of doing that.
Yes.
So yeah, I thought, oh, that's great. You know, it was a genuine like, oh, that's really good. That's a little, that's a moment for growth there, Brendan.
Sure is. So I was telling you very recently that I mean, maybe this may have been off the pod on our little special calls, that I don't really want to pursue gaining an audience for God Mode and like trying to strive for like posting every day and having a newsletter and making a blog and writing all this stuff. Yeah, it's daunting
gross,
and overwhelming and blah. And as soon as I finally put that aside and was like, no, I'm done with this. Yesterday, I just had this awesome blog post just pour out of me. Just writing on comfort and discomfort. And
nice.
Oh, yeah. And it came out really great. I was thinking I might share it with you on the pod maybe because I don't really know what else to do with it. But I'll probably do something
to the internet.
Yeah, I mean, that's an option.
Otherwise, you haven't written a blog post. You've written some words.
I mean, I've written words.
You've written an essay is what you've written.
That's what I have done. Yeah, it's got a good... And the reason why I brought it up is that it's very much due to, not due to, but in line with your intro story of walking towards pain.
Yes. Yeah, so I started. Well, I finished the book. That's actually it's a pretty short book, Dopamine Nation, and it was that got me thinking about doing the little cold blasts. It's fun. I shall keep doing it. I think I was hoping for. Have you? I know we discussed over WhatsApp. Have you read it?
I have not yet. It's on my shelf. And I've watched the TED Talk, obviously, but no, I have not read the book yet.
I don't know that you get masses more from the book than you do from the TED Talk, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of what I assumed.
Yeah, I think the metaphor is really the thing, the pain gremlins on the seesaw, the teeter-totter. So, yeah, I think... I think I was hoping for... more, but that's only because I was already conversant with the ideas because you shared the TED Talk. So that's not really a criticism of the book. It's like, yeah, that's the difficulty if you create a TED Talk to promote your book. It's like, oh, you've given away all the best stuff in the book.
Yep. Yeah.
The rest
Which
of it
is kind
is
of
examples
like,
and stuff.
good for you. Thank you for sharing everything.
Yeah, thank you for making it free.
Yeah. But it just makes the book less valuable.
Yeah. Although not until people have made the first purchase.
Were there...
They don't know that.
Other prompts in addition to the cold shower?
Not really.
Interesting. Okay, I kind of expected that.
Yeah, because it wasn't a list of things to do. That was an example from one of her case studies rather than here's some stuff that you can actually implement. I think that's the bit that I was missing, was a bit more like, okay, now that you're armed with the knowledge, here are some ways to implement it.
Interesting.
And I think there may be other books that are more on that kind of tip. I think there was one that I was going to check out, so I may go and have a look at that. I might see if I can negotiate the Audible return. Not because I hate the book, but just because it's like, credits are limited, and it didn't give me exactly what I needed. So yeah, I'm keen to see if there's more practical things. I think that would have helped the book a little bit more. Yeah,
that makes sense. In my comfort writing, because it's not a blog or a newsletter yet, I actually do have 3 things at the end that are practical things that somebody could do.
Oh, good. She did mention fasting. She did bring fasting up.
Oh, actually. Funny. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was another example from someone else, I think. And she had a whole thing about not walking, not becoming addicted to pain.
Yep.
think
Go
that
extreme the
was
other way.
Yeah, because one of the examples of like the cold shower guy, like he was weird about it, Brendan.
Yep.
He definitely started being weird about it. The book opens with it's very. I think either she has a good instinct for it or she has a good editor. It opens with a story of a guy with a like big old sex addiction. Who, and I tell you what, it's fascinating, and I'd be curious about your reaction to this. So she describes this patient who walks into her office and describes a bunch of stuff, and then describes a machine he'd made to wank himself to orgasm.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah. Which is like a coil attached to a record player arm or something.
Interesting.
You see, that was more my reaction.
Like, that seems really weak.
Of like, I think it's to do with vibrations and stuff. I think he puts his winkle in the coil, and then it does some sort of vibration thing.
Like, that part sounds amazing.
Yeah, because it rotates at the RPM of the record.
Yeah, I'm struggling a bit to really picture it in my mind. Yeah. I like if it's like sending the vibrations of the song into your cock, then like I'm all for that. That sounds amazing. I actually I have a little JBL speaker. It's like a little it's called the Flip 5, I think, and it has subwoofers on either end.
Yeah, it does.
That really vibrate. And there are interesting places to press that against your body.
Yes.
Let's just say.
Or perhaps
it's a good time.
Interesting places on your body to press against it. Right. Anyway, we should do a podcast.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I've got follow-up from, I think, last episode.
Cool.
Time is a flat circle. I don't know when anything was anymore.
No.
I've got a joke, and I've got an apology, and I have a question.
Wow. Oh my God. Okay. Follow-up, apology, question, joke.
Okay. Follow-up is I heard you say conflicting things recently.
Ooh.
One message was loud and clear is don't coach me, bro. And that's not a problem. I respect that boundary. I also heard you say last week or the week before that you don't want to get to the age of 70 and have a doc say, oh, you also have this condition too, and be left thinking like, why didn't anybody say anything?
Sure.
Which is they're not necessarily entirely conflicting, but I think you can see where I'm kind of getting the idea of confliction of like, don't tell me, but also why didn't anybody tell me is kind of the the thing I was thinking of. So I just wanted to tell you that when you want it, there could be a conversation to be had, and I will always be here to have that conversation. And that being said, I also heard you say, to put it bluntly and not in the best words, that you don't trust me because of the lack of institutional instruction. And I plan to work on that. And maybe in the future, those paths will better align.
Okay.
And that's my bit of follow-up.
Okay. I trust you.
I know you do. But you know what I mean.
I trust you as a friend.
Exactly.
Not necessarily as a medical caregiver. I trust that you have good advice, and that advice comes from experience. And I trust that it's probably... it's good advice. But I also know that there is so much out there in terms of the world of nutrition, and not even nutrition, but in like bodily health as influenced by nutrition. And I see stuff that is, and it's the fascinating thing of like thinking of like a flowchart or a decision tree where you start at the beginning and then one branch branches off and then that branch branches off into sub branches and then those sub branches of branches. That's sort of where we are in just the one branch that's like you don't have to kill yourself in order to lose weight. Like if we just go, if we think about the two branches right at the top of the tree that are like losing weight is all about these two things, or it's simple, or it's like, or it's diet, as in you have to have a specific capital D diet and you have to follow this diet. That's one branch, and then this other branch is like there are so many sub branches that disagree with each other, that aren't necessarily wrong. But there is so much nuance, and so much of it comes down to the individual as well. Not just their mindset, but also their particular physiology, their time of life, their lots of other things, any pre-existing medical conditions, and all that kind of stuff. And so, I find it tricky for me. I think it's like get into the right headspace first. Follow the medical advice in terms of taking care of the blood pressure is such a huge thing because I don't want to have a stroke.
Yeah, I don't want you to either.
No. And then the stuff after that is on top of that stuff that doesn't conflict with the medical advice. It's kind of my hierarchy. And when I was making that reference to, I don't want to be told I have a condition in, 70, at the age of 70, and suddenly it all makes sense. I'm talking specifically there about a psychological thing.
Oh, okay.
Rather than, you've got Crohn's, or that's why or whatever.
Yeah. I was thinking the latter, not the former.
Yeah.
So
that's that particular contradiction, such as it is.
Sure. So do you feel like that branching tree could then, like the concept of that and the awareness of all the different contradictions that are within the tree could paralyze you from trying any of the options?
No. It's more that. Oh, you see, I said no. And because the word I was reacting to was paralyzed. Like it's not that it makes me stop, but it's interesting because there are so many routes to follow, so many potential routes. And right now I'm in a simple mindset of, because one of the things that does seem to unify a lot of the stuff, and I'm interested in your perception of this because it may differ, is create a calorie deficit. Because people talk about, there's all sorts of things people eat, and I don't subscribe to this particularly because there's all sorts of other reasons why this isn't a great idea. But people do all of these like challenges where they will eat nothing but sandwiches for 30 days. Penn and Teller for a long time just ate potatoes and lost weight. And Evo Terra was the guy who co-wrote a book called The Beer and Sausage Diet, proving that as long as you maintain a calorie deficit, you can lose weight. I'm sure there are all sorts of asterisks and caveats and daggers and double daggers, but the overarching thing, like, among or over and above everything else, is maintain a calorie deficit. Now, we've discussed calories and the problems inherent in calories.
Yeah.
But if we just think about energy in versus energy out, yes, I'm with you, and I think I am of the belief that exercise, to the degree that you and I might do it, because we're not ultra athletes, that's not really going to contribute much to the weight loss. It is all about diet, and so that is the thing for me that is the annoying bit, because it means going back to tracking calories, which I'm not a big fan of, just because it's hard to sustain. because it gets boring. And
Tedious.
I now throw the mic over to you.
Yeah. I'd call it tedious.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the word for it.
I never did it. I mean, I take that back. I did do it multiple times, and it never worked.
Mhm.
And then I tried other things, and those worked. And so, living that experience and then reading some of the things I have read have definitely led me to more believe that, yeah, calories are a factor. They're not the entire factor. They're not nothing. You definitely need to have fewer of them than you normally have in order to kind of trend downward. But yeah, and then of course the exercise factor helps with other things. It's very good for your health. It's not necessarily good for weight loss. It matters so much more what quality those calories come in.
Yeah.
And not just that, but the I mean, I want to say ratio, but that's not even what I mean. Between your macros, it's like I don't even want to track macros. It's just like getting a high amount of protein is going to fill you up, and it's going to make you not want to eat more because you're already full. And if you pay attention to those markers, which I don't always do, then you can you maintain your lower level of eating. Now, the problem with ultra processed foods is that they don't at all fill you up. So you can fill yourself up on a good healthy meal and then fucking stuff yourself with more fucking popcorn and chocolate and whatever else that doesn't add any more to your, it doesn't make you feel any bigger, but it has tons of calories.
And I was also this exactly goes to this point. Hopefully, so I'm not interrupting you for no reason.
Nope.
I was looking at so over here we have the Nando's chicken chain, and I fancied doing a sort of a chicken, like a healthy-ish version of chicken and chips tonight, rather than get one from a takeaway. And
nice. Good move.
One of the things, having looked at one of these recipes, it's like you get this big old bottle of this chicken marinade, and I'm like going nowhere near that because I know that's going to be full of so much just like I nearly said solvents, but not solvents.
Well,
what other things, the coagulants and anticoagulants and all those things that make it shelf stable for however long, and all the other stuff. And I've just
need oil and vinegar. You just need olive oil or avocado oil and whatever vinegar you want. I like to use I get a jar of jalapenos or mixed hot peppers or whatever, and just pour it that's
water,
just vinegar and what this vinegar, salt, water. It's like you just pour that in and it's hot and spicy and tasty and
yeah. And I didn't realize this, but Greek yogurt is a good meat tenderizer.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard that before too.
Yeah, so I've got the stuff sitting in Greek yogurt, in seasoned Greek yogurt. And so it's all the spices and all that stuff, and it's just the chicken's just marinating in that, and then I might do a little light sort of seasoned corn flour thing and throw it in rather than it won't be a full breading, but just that little crunch with a bit of corn flour, and then my air fried potatoes, cut into chips, like tiny little bit of oil, like it's all good. And so it's sort of being aware of the things that we sometimes don't think about, like it's just a sauce. What can that do? And like something like a Jack Daniel's sauce, it's just all sugar.
Absolutely, man.
So one of the things on the sugar tip, which may cause us some spikiness, I don't know, is because we've talked a lot about the whole like aspartame in stuff.
Yep.
And we know that it is dangerous.
Yep.
But and this is again where nuance comes in, the levels to which it is dangerous. And I will get the order of magnitude wrong, but it doesn't matter because both of these are well outside my consumption. You have to drink either 10 or 100. I know that's a big difference, but they're both out of my range. 10 or 100 cans of one of those sodas a day for you to have dangerous levels that the anti people talk about.
No, I have not heard that, and I'd be curious to have you pass that information along.
Yes, I believe it's that's part of the FDA regulations that allows it to be legal.
Yeah, so like I don't at all trust FDA levels.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Like they they have, and same with the green light system on in your wonderful country.
Yeah,
like
in your country, yes.
They're bought and sponsored by the industry. Like they're working together so that the money flows into the right hands.
I don't know how much, because of the EU being what it is. I don't know how much of that is true with the EU. Where I agree with you.
Chris Van Tulleken is like working hard to lobby for getting proper listings for these things in your country and in the EU.
The only reason I was questioning that is I know the levels aren't always indicative for certain things, like depending on your diet, eating more fat might be the right thing to do, and so having something that's got a red fat label on it, because I don't think those labels differentiate between saturated fat and unsaturated fat.
And when you say, do you have to, let's just go with, I mean, we can go with either 10 or 100. It doesn't really matter.
Sure,
there's a higher amount than what you, or maybe even most people consume, that gets you to a level of whatever the FDA or whoever the body, the regulation body rather, decides is harmful. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I really enjoyed about one of Chris Van Tulleken's it wasn't a TED Talk, but it was at a health conference that was recorded. He's like, I'm actually going to quote the president Donald Trump in some of his tweets. And he some of the Donald Trump tweets were like, I've never seen a skinny person drinking Diet Coke. And he go, like, there was a few more of them, I can't remember. It was really great, and it was really like obvious. So like if you think about it, or if you don't have to think about it, like people drink Diet Coke. They're not losing weight. They're not getting healthier because they're having Diet Coke or Coke Zero or any of the fake sugars. Like it's not providing.
No, but I don't think that's what's contributing. I think it's not helping is not the same as it's hurting. And I think sometimes we get that a little bit skew if. Just because something isn't helping doesn't mean it's hurting.
Yes, but I think that the data shows clearly that it is hurting. And
is it hurting more than sugar?
Have you read Ultra Processed People?
Not yet. Okay. I'd like to.
Yeah, I think that will be illuminating.
Yeah. Oh, no, I dare say it will be. But I also... One of the things that, and we sort of touched on it a little bit before, we can get into a level of, and it's one of the things that when I watch my little videos on the internet, one of the things that I do think is important and genuinely important, not just in a whatever kind of way, is it's what I keep coming back to with moderation, actually. It's the idea that a little bit of sweetness or something, like we need to be allowed to enjoy things. And I understand, where we've go on. What's that smiling face?
It's just you're speaking to this this writing that I have, and I want.
Oh, okay, cool. Excellent.
I'm very excited to read it to you or share it with you or whatever.
Yeah, I'm excited. We need to be able to enjoy things. And sometimes this prurience of no, you mustn't consume that because it's got this chemical. It doesn't matter that it's not got loads of sugar in it. It's you simply mustn't. That's dangerous as well. You should have nothing sweet unless it comes from this particular source. And like, it's not wrong, but also, I could also sleep on a wooden bed frame instead of sleeping on a mattress.
But that would hurt your sleep. Like it's like you're saying, oh, I don't want to have I don't want to drink bleach, but I also don't want to drink cyanide. It's like you're saying like it's like, okay, yeah, there's no sugar in it, but yeah, you also, this is literally bad for you. It's not good for human consumption. You, the general person, It's
lots of things that bungee jumping isn't good for you. I know we don't do it on a regular basis, but
I've never done it.
No.
And my uncle died from doing it, actually.
Oh fuck.
No worries about saying that. I'm just saying,
Jesus
like,
Christ,
yes, I agree with your example. It's not good for you.
Shit.
And that was due to him being a massive alcoholic. He had totally disrupted his entire insides, and then he went bungee jumping when he wasn't healthy, and it turned into applesauce. Yeah. The thing about we want to have pleasures. Yes, pin in that. I want to get back to that very much.
Yeah.
The way it to me, it matters so much more about what happens inside the body when you ingest these things. Like sugar is something that's a natural occurring substance within fruits and vegetables and other plant life, and the body understands that, and it knows it, and it has a drive for it. It's like, these berries, I don't get these berries very often, I'm going to eat a whole ton of them. And these chemicals are not processable by the body in the same way. And so when the body, the sweetness comes onto the tongue, the part that we like, that starts a signal chain within the body saying, oh, hey, sweetness is coming. I am going to boost my glucose levels, my insulin levels, so that I can handle this glucose spike that's coming. And then that food source, the non-food that we just ate, that sweet, goes into our digestive tract, and then there's no sugar there to bind or to interact with that insulin, and then we have high insulin levels, and then the body's confused, and it starts inflammation because it thinks it's sick, and so that leads to weight gain, and that leads to other things, and there's this downstream effect, and it's microscopic, it's tiny, but you do that every day, you do that a couple times a day, you do that a couple times a month, it's still impacting you negatively. And it doesn't mean that you have to swear off everything that's good. That's being weird about it. Like, I'm making some fucking chicken and onions on the stove right now. It's slow cooking. It's fucking the tastiest shit. I eat the best food in the world. I love it so much. I get so much enjoyment from my food, and I don't have to add sugar or have a Coke with it.
That's great.
That's my point of view.
Yeah.
I had one more thing to say about that, actually. In my personal lived experience, I used to, from ages 7 to maybe 10-ish, I drank a lot of soda. Because I was a ravenous young little child, and I was starting to gain weight and everything, like you do. And my parents switched me to diet drinks. So I was drinking Diet Coke, Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Dr. Pepper. All these, they cut out the sugar for me. I gained more weight. I gained much more weight. And then, and I kept trying to do that until through high school. In high school, I switched back to sugary drinks. In fact, I even switched to they call it here Mexican Coke. Because you can get it from
a different sugar source.
Exactly. Made from actual sugar cane instead of a
corn syrup.
Yeah, and then and I was drinking just as much, and I was losing weight. And I balanced back down. I mean, I was still overweight, but I was not as overweight. Just an anecdote.
No, absolutely. And I lost a load of more weight when I was smoking. You know,
Yeah.
we will. Sorry, this is going to come off a lot more aggressive. I just wanted to say we've all got stories, mate.
Yeah,
which I
but that's
wanted
also,
to say, but not as aggressively as that was going to come out.
For sure. But if I had switched back to sugary drinks and started smoking, I would have lost more weight. Like you're adding an extra factor here. Like that's beautiful. Fight me, bro. Like that's not.
I'm determined that we're going to keep this
one
an
argumentative fallacy.
It's not that I don't. It's not that I don't agree. I've yet to read the book, and the book may change my mind.
I'm hoping that I can change your mind before you read the book. But once you read the book, then your mind will change.
Yeah.
So. I'm just trying to get my chops up here, showing my evidence and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to read the actual source in the literature. Like, I can just hear it from me, but I know that's not how it works.
But that's the point, because you're one person and each one of us is different. We have a lot of overlap in various aspects of our lives. But we also have, for example, and this is not an excuse, this is just a thing, very different access to foods.
Yeah.
It's like you read an American menu and it's like, like a recipe, and it's like, get a dozen bushels of berries or fish juice, or like, and it's just like, this shit doesn't exist over here. We don't know what these things are. I don't know what bacabe, thing is. And I need a quarter cup of that.
Yeah.
So when I went keto before, there was so much of stuff that's just like, I don't know what any of this, even translating like cilantro, that's easy enough. That's fine. Or zucchini, like that's all right. But then there's a whole bunch of stuff that's just like, we don't get that here. And so the access to foods is different. And also the shit that's put into different foods is, I was going to say the shit that's put into your food, but like there's plenty of shit that's put into our food. I mean, we had a scandal 10 or so years back about horse meat being put into like lasagnas and all sorts of stuff. Like I think anything that had mince was like, it was a huge thing for a while, that horse meat was going into everything.
I mean, I make the joke, but like, okay, it's just another animal. Like,
I mean,
I had reindeer meat when I was in Finland. It was great.
Oh, nice. I had kangaroo when I was in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just an animal. I'd eat dog. I'd eat human. It's just meat. Like whatever. I wouldn't kill a person.
No.
That stopped you.
I thought about it for a second. Tastes just like chicken.
I wouldn't seek it out, but like say stranded on an island and one of the other people stranded with you already dies. Like I'm not going to just let them decompose. I would try and
get
survive off of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slow cook my friend.
You wouldn't be thinking about your macronutrients then, would you? Needlessly combative.
I mean, I would be living off the land. Like I'd be
just like we did in the agrarian times.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worrying about it. I'd be worrying about trying to remember how to preserve foods. Like, it's like, okay, salt.
Cover it all in salt.
Dig a hole and bury it or something, and like,
like a squirrel.
In the first session of my recent Enneagram class, the icebreaker question was like, if you're stranded on a desert island, what is one album you would take, one book you would take, and one meal you would have? And, it was fun hearing everybody's answers. And the last person to go had the fucking right answer with the book, which was a survival guide. And I was like, fuck, yeah, you got us.
But then, that all presupposes that you're going to be stranded, and that's, I'm not sure that is in the spirit of the question. I was looking at
always bring a survival guide when you travel.
Yeah, just always. Always have one. I was looking this morning at sort of prep kits, like emergency sort of stuff, and considering having a little bag, a little go bag, or a little bag full of stuff to put under the bed, Just in,
Mhm.
little, like, not
Not a
in
bad
case
idea.
of a zombie apocalypse, but just like, what if the internet goes out for a week, or what if there's no power for a couple of days? Like, what do you do then, smart ass? That kind of
Just live. we had a world before internet and electricity. I just love that those are your examples. It's like not a zombie apocalypse, but if we lost the internet,
the internet. Okay, fine, all right. You make your little jokes, but
I do.
if we lose power, that's a significant thing.
For sure it is. For sure.
If I lose the internet, actually, it makes it considerably more difficult for me to get the cat's food. Because that has to be carried in big old bags and big old boxes, and it's not just around the like it's nowhere local. I can't get that stuff local. So anyway,
you could also just feed them raw food, like raw meat.
Oh, sure. Like until it goes off because there's no refrigeration because there's no power.
And they can also fast. Holy shit! They don't get a kill every day.
They do. They're my precious babies, and they get a kill every day. 3 times a day delivered to their bowls, Brendan.
God. What? It's just, I love you, mate. I love you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And I'm the weirdo listener.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I get why you're saying that because of the way our society is structured, but I don't know. When you take a step back and look at it through the lens of 200 years ago.
Oh yeah,
it's like, what the fuck are we doing?
But then 200 years ago, women couldn't vote, and black people were worth 3/4 of a human.
And that argumentative fallacy is worth justifying.
Just because. All right, come on now. Go on.
I mean, you last episode you said I wasn't gonna. What is a heap you? So. I am going to bring that energy as well.
Yes!
You're not going to, women can't vote me away from the fact that we ate better food 200 years ago.
Yes. Okay.
We can move at different rates.
I do have something to support where I'm going there, is that 200 years ago, the concept of childhood didn't really exist. And so you were brought, actually, funnily enough, I think this was in your woman's book, actually, that you were brought up, and as soon as possible, you were basically a working human.
Yeah.
Oh no, it might actually. It was probably Grace Blakely. That feels like it was probably
the capitalism.
More appropriate. 200 years ago, the concept of a child and a child's development and the particular neurochemistry and those things that a child might have, there was no time and no space for that because we had to go and plow the fields and milk the cows. And so I don't think, as much as we can play around with the women voting of it all, not to trivialize that important concept, as much as we can sort of kick that ball around, 200 years ago, because our life was lived a lot more close to the bone, people who had a tougher time just had a tougher time, and you either had to grin and bear it or die because, frankly, we haven't got the ability to look after you. And so with that comes a degree of challenge, because now our food system is not you till your own fields and then you eat directly off the land that you create. Now we have a distributed system. That in itself creates its own problems, and capitalism has its own horrible part to play in that. But it needn't. I mean, those two things can be separated. So, yeah.
All I'm saying is women should vote. Black people are just as much people as white people. Let's eat real fucking food. Fuck capitalism. Brendan for president. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
What you were just saying kind of reminded me of speaking way out of my depth here,
Ooh.
But the potato famine in Ireland, and how the UK government kind of starved this, like, created genocide because a class war, more or less, took all their food when they couldn't even eat the food off of their own land, which was less than normal, and they had to meet certain amounts of food to ship off, and they were just dying or leaving in mass. Yeah, there's no real point to that. It just reminded me of it.
Okay.
Margaret was reading a book about it and sharing some stuff with me, and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have an apology to make to you.
After all of that.
Okay. I wanted to hedge my apology.
Why can't you just love me, Brendan?
I do. I love you so much. That's why you were right about Community.
Okay.
Community is really important.
Great TV show.
That's it. I'm really sorry that I tried to imply that maybe self-work was more important. I think that self-work is just as important, and that community is incredibly important.
Do you know, thank you for saying that. I think one of the things that we come back to, and one of the balls that we're kicking around here is, I think we sometimes speak in or when there is an and, or as in OR. Or we speak in but when there isn't, when there is an and. I think a lot of this is, it's not that it's not that. It's just that it might be that and also this. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the time, a lot of the things that we talk about tend to be, well, it's this thing. Okay, yes, it is that thing. It also might be this thing as well, and that also gets to be part of the system. And that's, I think that's part of why I don't trust you, Brendan, which is not true. But it's also why
it's also a little bit true.
It's not a matter of trust. And it comes down to a little bit to the conversation we had about the course of study and doing studying the things that you don't necessarily care about. Is one doesn't necessarily care about. God, we're so polite.
I don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit. Is so much about the ancillary stuff and the ands and the alsos and the whatabouts. And like with so much in, like even with the potato famine, like there are so many turns out, none of them, by the way, make the British look good. So it's not like turns out it was all, it's just like there's another layer on top that you thought it was about this. No, actually it's what, it's a whole lot worse or it's a whole lot whatever. Yeah. Or it's always more complicated. And that's the thing I think about with a lot of stuff that we talk about that on the face of it maybe feels a bit more, for want of a better word, radical, is that, dude, don't get distracted, Mark, is that there is so much more stuff, and it's not that it necessarily has to be a but, it's not necessarily a disagreement, but I think it's also, how does this fit into a bigger picture? So, for example, and not necessarily to bring us back to it, but if we think about the aspartame, looking at it through that particular lens, like I said before, like nothing you're saying is wrong. Of course it isn't, but we have to look at all of these things as a bigger picture, as a context, as a whole. And a human being is made up of all sorts of different parts, and some of them work really well, and some of them are, need a bit of support in certain areas. And I think it's foolhardy to just keep looking at things through this one particular angle and say, no, it's just this thing, because it isn't. I think it is part of a larger system. So it's an and with a lot of this stuff. And so that's why I don't necessarily go full bore into this stuff. It's not that I disagree with it, because a lot of the time I can't find anything to disagree with, but it's that I think we don't always spool back out as we have been fond of doing before and look at the big picture or the connecting systems.
Sure. Curious.
I took your apology and I ruined it.
Since you brought up the aspartame, what is it that I'm microscopically focusing on, or if that's what you meant?
I think so if we just say it's bad for you, and it's doing you harm. It's like, yes, but it's we don't exist in a binary system. We exist in a system where that might be the thing that helps someone get them over the line psychologically, because otherwise, like, they've made a bunch of changes to their life, and this is the next change that they're making as a swap. Like a lot of people talk about, like, swap one thing for another thing, and these healthy swaps can help you. And if we start looking at it and going, no, you should not drink these things at all, then actually what's going to happen is people are potentially more likely to have a harder bounce and relapse, because they're like, well, no, I need, like, the drinking of a Coke, the popping of a Coke can is not necessarily just about the ingestion of that particular fluid. It's about the time of day that you do it and when you do it and what it means to you and the enjoyment that it has. It exists in a context. And so when you remove that, then yes, you make you make a healthier choice in that particular thing, but the overall system may suffer and actually may be benefited by someone continuing to drink that particular drink.
This is an argumentative fallacy that I feel like is a bit harder to justify, but or argument that anyway. I think that's distracting from the point. My point is that it's bad for you, and I feel like your point is the how of getting off of it. Like, I'm not talking about the how, the procedure of not having it anymore. I'm trying to bring up awareness and education so that somebody can make an informed choice and get off of it if they choose to, when they choose to, how they choose to. Like, I would say, okay, you switched to Coke Zero. Okay, maybe then, at your own time, switch to a Cola LaCroix, switch to an unflavored seltzer, switch to just water with maybe lemon and lime juice, and then just water. Like, you go on your own path, you choose whatever things you want to. That, to me, like, worrying about those details distracts from the point that the fact that drinking that is bad for somebody. Does that make sense?
Yes, but
or
yes, and if you, and maybe this is a difference of opinion, but I think if you tell someone that something is bad for them, you're making a judgment that then presupposes they need to give that thing up. Is that fair or unfair?
Unfair.
Cool.
In my point of view, yeah. Like, from my perspective, I'm looking at it like, hey, this is what that thing does to you. You can choose to do with that information whatever you choose. Like, and if you as the person hearing this want to hear it as, oh, that's bad, and if I have it, therefore I'm bad, or that my diet's bad, or whatever, like, judgment application, like, maybe choose healthier patterns, but of in your mind. And I also advocate for more social services, more counseling, free healthcare systems in place to help support people getting off of these addictive drugs that are in every supermarket and every fast food chain and every place of that we think we can get nourishment. And it's marketed to us just so that corporations can make more money off of us.
Which is your agenda, which is not to say that that's wrong. Like, very, very quickly, I'm not suggesting that that's wrong, but that is your agenda. And so everything is pointing towards that agenda. And that is a perfectly decent agenda, but it is.
I'm not informing anybody to end corporate profit.
But that is naturally where your thought process went.
Sure, after a while.
We need I got there eventually to stop us drinking Diet Coke.
I've never once talked to you about Coke so that you would be giving less money to Coke. Like, like, fucking, I don't care. I don't want them to have more money. I don't want them to poison the world, but that's not my end goal. I want my friend to live longer. I want people to be healthier in general.
You really think that me drinking Coke Zero is going to shorten my life?
Do you want to answer that question?
No, yeah. You believe that
100%,
and that's fine if you believe that.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
I have no doubt in my mind.
Okay.
No, cool. There's very few things that I would actually say 100% about.
Mm-hmm. I don't. There you go. I don't think that is true, and I don't like it when I flat hard disagree with someone because it doesn't feel good. But I flat hard disagree with that, and I don't think that's that helpful.
And how much have you? You don't think what is helpful? The disagreement or the
it doesn't necessarily matter. Just I
was just curious about that last statement.
I feel like you had a more interesting question there, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
But you do buy it. That's no.
Buy it in spades.
There's a list of ingredients on the can.
Yeah.
Like when you buy broccoli, there's no ingredients. It's just broccoli. You buy, let's say, being super generous here. Let's say you buy a bag of corn chips, and there's like corn or maize, salt, oil, and lime, or whatever, and there's 4 ingredients. Sure. You know what those ingredients are. Maybe it's not the best thing in the world for you, but you can understand what those ingredients are. You look at the ingredients on a can of Coke, and we're just using Coke as an example for all processed foods.
Yes. What
are they? Do you know where they came from?
Because and
do you know? Do you know what they do to your body besides make your mouth feel good? And what gives you the feeling?
Oh, I thought that was going to get somewhere else.
I'm sorry, I'm just pounding you right now. What gives you the feel?
What gives you the right?
Besides what this ingredients list that you might not fully understand the components of and what it does to you, what makes you feel that those things aren't telling you in some way that it's better for you than it is? Do you believe that food has a message? Do you feel like when you eat something, it can communicate with you, or is that a bit too woo-woo-y for you?
I might ask you to elucidate on that.
I'm coming from the place of like when I had the mold in my sinuses, I felt this. It was like having a voice in my head. It wasn't English. It was a compulsion. It was a drive to go get sugar and go get junk food and stuff. When I purged that from my system, it was like that presence was gone, and it was kind of magical. And so I've had the personal experience of some stark change in that. And now when I eat food that is food or isn't food, I can tell this stark difference where I eat something that's processed and I immediately want to eat more. And I immediately start feeling like this isn't so bad. Like this chocolate feels great. It's only got 1 gram of sugar per little square. That's nothing. It doesn't matter that I'm having 3 bars in a day and there's like 8 squares per bar, whatever, this. It's a snowball, and I feel it. I viscerally feel that difference. It's not necessarily an English voice, but it's a message that, and it's the same with like a bag of corn puffs or whatever. Some tasty treat is telling me it's good to eat. It's fine. And everything like that. And when I eat something that is nourishing, it's not that it tells me a different story, but it's like a different context. It's like home. It's like safety. It's not like, oh no, this is okay. You can have more. It's not like protesting a little too much kind of thing. It's not justifying. It's just peace and connection.
I don't get those kind of messages. I do think, so I think what this is, I think it's less to do with the food itself and more to do with your relationship with that food, and the psychology of that particular consumption. I was neck deep in a bag of salt and vinegar crisps, like kettle.
Careful, man, that'll suffocate you.
Yeah, I know, man. And I caught myself on that hamster wheel of more, and I was aware of the thing that people have talked about before with a lot of those, like the thing, I think it's Pringles. Someone said specifically, there's something about
once you pop, can't stop.
The can't stop is that it's not quite like what or however many are never quite satifying enough.
They're literally telling you.
Yeah, I know that's awful, isn't it? It's like, we made this thing addictive, yay!
Yeah.
Cigarettes, but you can't have just one. And I was aware of that, and I felt this sort of thing. And I'd also watched a video a couple of days ago of someone with that particular bag of crisps, which is probably why I bought them, and the salt content. And so I was like, I am not going to sit and eat these mindlessly because there's so much salt in these. I'm going to sit and eat these sparingly. Didn't do super good job of it, but I did put a peg in the bag. Not in the bag because that would do nothing. But I put a peg over the bag. Just putting a peg in a bag is not going to help at all.
I finished the bag and then put a peg in it,
and then put a peg in it, and now I have a bag of pegs. So I was having there was a dialogue or a duologue happening. And this might be semantics for no reason, but like for me, like it's not necessarily with the food, but it is with myself. So I don't think that I have that deeper sort of relationship messaging wise with the food. Although I've understood every word you've said, and I don't think that's silly by any stretch. When it comes to a can of Coke Zero, because actually one of the big reasons I don't much. I used to be a full fat Coke drinker. I've never particularly liked the taste of Diet Coke, and then Coke Zero happened, and I went, that is how I want Coke to taste. And then normal Coke does not taste how I want Coke to taste. Yeah. I don't like it. Pepsi Max, too sweet. Coke Zero, right balance. When I drink it, I'm going, that's a tasty beverage. They changed the recipe recently. I was like, that seems crisper, and I'm not sure I like it as much.
Bring back original Coke Zero.
Bring back original Coke Zero, the classic. That for me is about as far as that relationship goes. I don't feel like a great big rush. I don't feel dissatisfied afterwards, like I need more of it. I drink the can, and then sometimes, as today, there were a couple from like the last 2 days of like half empty or 2/3 empty cans. I'm not compelled to guzzle the whole thing down. I think this is one of those things. It's like, I know the shit I've got an unhealthy relationship with, and I'm here for that.
Is that to say, like, those are other things, and you feel like the Coke Zero is a minor thing that you want to hold on to while you're working on those other things? Is that the argument you've been building?
You see that as a problem, and I don't. Because and it's just, that's just a thing that we are going to fundamentally disagree on. And again, it's not because you're wrong, because like there's nothing you've said that's wrong. But I don't believe it as much as you believe it. Maybe that's the way to do it. And I think it's going to take me a lot of convincing for me to believe it as much as you believe it. I don't believe it to that degree that I think it's going to knock years off my life.
Well, unfortunately, it's improvable. But because we can't A/B test.
I'll put a codicil into my will. You can dig up my bones if I die before you, which is statistically likely. You can do the autopsy and say it was Coke Zero all along. I'm being facetious.
I don't think that that's even possible either. Even if I just mean like
appreciate you making fun
we
of
can't A/B test it. We can't like have you
no, that's
drinking and not
fair
drinking.
enough. Yeah, we don't have a control mark. The difficulty we have, and as two people who believe things strongly, and it's like, why can't you just see that it's obviously this? When you're met with someone who's like, it's incredibly frustrating because you're like, why can't you see? You know, we have those things. And when you're met with someone who's like, I don't know, and they haven't done the reading and you have.
I mean, that's exactly it. That
you've done the reading
response,
and I haven't. And
no. Before that, that response that I don't know, you don't know, and that's that's all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to inform, and you know, then you can know, and decide to do with that what you will.
Yeah.
So the reason I apologized about community is, I have a history of undervaluing it for many reasons. My family, like my dad didn't have any friends. My mom had a few friends and didn't really hang out with them or model that behavior. Neither of them were on the phone talking with people. There was no gatherings. There were no, we didn't go to church or go out to things. And there just wasn't a lot of people around. Like the people that I saw, the people that came around were people that were customers at the country store we had or the Texaco station. And then, school where I was overweight and bullied and introverted and having a pretty bad time through most of school. So I didn't make good community there either. And I took those lessons into my first marriage, where I was convinced to push the few people I did have away, and including my family, and become even more isolated. And so for the longest time, for 29 years, I was pretty alone. And I did, and it's kind of interesting because throughout all that time, I did always have somebody, which is weird. Like I either had somebody who wasn't super healthy for me or was, but I couldn't see it at the time, different things like that. And so I did always have somebody around, but I didn't have people around. I didn't have a loving, safe, welcoming community. So for that reason, I have undervalued community because I didn't understand the value of it because I'd never been exposed to it. I didn't understand it.
And I guess you, work-wise, I mean, how long have you worked as we might say, a laborer? Like how long have you worked in your particular mode of working?
As a solo entrepreneur that does all the work myself.
Yeah.
15, 20 years.
And before
almost.
that?
I worked at the Subway and Home Depot, and I worked for a couple different remodelers.
Part of where I was going there wasn't necessarily just the line of work. Well, it was sort of the line of work, not necessarily the fact that you were a freelancer. The sort of job that you do now is not necessarily conducive to, for example, an office department where you've got people that you see every day, but you have had some of that.
Yeah. I worked in a couple of call centers and stuff where I did have people, but like I didn't reach out to people. I didn't hang out with them after work. I didn't, connect at all with people. So I come from this history of undervaluing community, and now I have made a pretty big shift in my life where I have much better people around me. I gather a lot. I'm going to different groups.
You're seeking it out.
I'm seeking it out. And now I undervalue it because I have plenty of it. Because it's everywhere, because I'm kind of taking it for granted. And I'm realizing this and trying to not do that as much and trying to be more present with that. But that's the context I was coming from when I was arguing for more self-work and mindfulness and presence in that regard last episode when we had our tug of war. So the coda to this
very well.
is I co-founded a meditation group.
Woo!
They are we're meeting once a month. It's a really cool structure that I'm super proud of, where the first hour we gather for a potluck dinner, and we gather over a shared meal, and the best meetings always have food. The best gatherings have food, something to bond over. So it's a tale as old as time.
Breaking bread.
Then we sit
Except bread's
with
got too many carbs.
then we sit for a meditation, guided meditation. Then we have
Who guides that?
It rotates, so it rotates the place where we like whose home we gather in. It rotates who reads the meditation. It rotates who does a Dharma reading, and it rotates who will at the end of it. Or then there'll be a time for us to share, and we'll go around and each say what's been going on for us or what came up for us during those instances and whatever. And at the end, we have some sort of somatic integration. So, and that the whoever leads that will also rotate. So there might be a small yoga session. There might be a dance party. There might be different ways of. We might go for a walk around the block, but some sort of integration there of physically moving and yeah. So I'm pretty stoked. Yeah,
that is tight. That's really cool. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I also, and another thing I've been doing about community is, I told you about that I started playing dodgeball.
Yeah. So this we talked about this privately, but please tell the listener.
Yeah, Margaret encouraged me to find a team sport, and the first and only thing I thought of that I would want to do, because I've done a lot of team sports in my youth, was dodgeball. It came to mind, and I was like, I wonder if there's dodgeball here in Portland. Looked it up, found a group, and it's been an open tab in my Safari for weeks and weeks and months. But I have finally decided to enter into it, and like a season is coming up, and they had a free drop-in open play session before the season started. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in. It's free. I don't have to worry about it. It's just like going to go experience, see what it's like. Had the fucking blast. Sweet. I went way too hard for my 40-year-old body. My arm is still sore 5 days later, but just had such a thrill. All the people were super great. And then I can't remember if I told you this part or not, but afterwards they all go to meet for pizza at a place around the corner. And they were like, oh yeah, we hope you see you next time. And hey, we're going to get pizza. Like, please come and we'll hang out and talk and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's great. I actually got to head out, but like, it was so good. I think I'll be here next time. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun hanging out with you guys. So I go to my truck and I sit there for a minute, and in my head I had these justifications of like, oh, I should check on Margaret. She's not feeling super great, and I'll let her know where I am and that I'm good and all this and that. And then I'm like, well, Margaret's probably asleep. Or if she's not, she's reading a book and she's just fine. She doesn't need me to go check on her or anything. I'm just being an introvert. I'm just avoiding the scariness of talking to new people. And this is like the perfect time for me to go. If I'm going to play dodgeball with these people, I should get to know them at their pizza hangout after. We should share AF beers and get closer. So I turned my truck around, went and parked by the pizza place, walked over to them and struck up a conversation, sat down, and we chatted about it. And they were super welcoming. They were so glad I came. They asked me like what changed and what happened, and I told them. I was like, you know what, I was just being an introvert, and I was just kind of scared. And I decided to face my fear and come and talk to y'all. And they like applauded. They literally clapped and were like, great job. Like, we're so glad you're here. You made it. Like, I've been an introvert too. Like that's really hard to do. Great job. And I was like, man, this is fucking so rewarding.
I love that so much. Very, very happy for you.
And as always, Correct me if I'm wrong. I've been working hard on thinking about different words and how they impact us. And it's so funny when you know it's coming and you're like, oh, what is this? Okay. Just you're like trying to process, like, okay, what's the joke line going to be? What is it?
Okay.
It's really bad. It's a bad joke. It's not great. So don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
But yeah, I've been thinking about the power of words and different aspects of words. Anyways, I was giving this a lot of thought. You know what's really at the center of gratitude?
I don't know, Brendan. What's really at the center of gratitude?
A tit.
It's a
GRATIT.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
No, I know you get it. I'm just
I get it.
hammering it home.